Is there really a molecule inside your cells that could fight fatigue, sharpen your brain, and maybe even slow down aging? Spoiler alert, yes, and it's called NAD+. Celebrities are dripping it, athletes are injecting it, and biohackers swear by it. But does it actually work, or is it just expensive pee? Let's break it down. Dragging through your day and blaming it on getting older, it could be your NAD levels ghosting you. Everything you eat, kale, Krispy Kreme, or that third cup of coffee has potential energy. But potential doesn't mean your body can actually use it. And that's where NAD steps in. It's the spark that flips the switch, letting your mitochondria, those tiny power plants in your cells, turn food into real energy that you can feel. No NAD, no fuel. Now let's talk DNA. Every single day it takes hits from stress, pollution, chemicals, or even just walking outside in the sun. NAD activates your body's built-in repair crew to patch up damage before it snowballs into bigger problems. It also plays referee with inflammation. When your NAD is solid, your cells stay calm. And when it tanks, your thermostat breaks. Suddenly your body is stuck in overreact mode, pumping out inflammation and speeding up aging. And here's the thing, NAD even links your metabolism and sleep. It's tied to your circadian rhythm or your body's internal clock. So when levels drop, you can end up wired at midnight and dragging through the next day. Ever feel that way for no reason? Yeah, your NAD might be tanking. So NAD isn't just a one-trick pony. It's your power cable, your repair team, and your body's stress manager all rolled into one. And here's the problem. The older you get, the less of it you have. So by your 40s or 50s, your levels can be half of what they were in your 20s. It shows up in energy, focus, recovery, and aging itself. Think NAD is new? Nope. It's been around longer than sliced bread, literally. Here's a fun fact. NAD has been on the scene way longer than wellness clinics and celebrity IV drips. It was first discovered in 1906 by two scientists, Arthur Hardin and William John Young, who were studying yeast fermentation. Translation, they were trying to figure out how sugar turns into alcohol. And what they noticed was this mysterious cofactor that yeast cells absolutely needed to keep the process going. That cofactor, NAD. Back then, they had no clue it was a universal molecule running the show in every cell. They just knew that yeast without NAD was as useless as bread dough without yeast. It wasn't until later that scientists realized NAD wasn't just a fermentation helper, it was central to metabolism, energy production, and eventually the entire conversation on aging. So how did this dusty lab discovery go from yeast and beer to celebrities paying thousands of dollars for IV drips? That's where the NAD story gets its blow up. From hospital detox clinics to Hollywood IV lounges, NAD has had quite the career change. Here's the twist most people don't know. NAD didn't start out in sleek Beverly Hills IV lounges. Its first role in medicine was gritty. Hospital detox wards in the mid-1900s. Doctors discovered that giving NAD to people going through alcohol or drug withdrawal seemed to help them recover faster, with less fatigue and mental fog. Why? Because withdrawal wrecks your cells. It depletes energy, ramps up inflammation, and hammers the brain. NAD swoops in to recharge the mitochondria and kickstarts cellular repair, giving patients the fuel they need to get through a brutal process. It wasn't glamorous, but it worked. Patients who received NAD weren't just surviving detox, they were coming out clearer, stronger, and in some cases with fewer cravings. Fast forward to today, and NAD is no longer just for detox units. It's slipped out of hospitals and into luxury wellness clinics, where it's being marketed as everything from an energy booster to an anti-aging drip. So why are people dropping hundreds or thousands of dollars for these treatment protocols? Well, let's spill the tea. NAD isn't just another fad. It's working in places that actually matter. First up, energy. NAD is the spark your mitochondria need to keep your body running. And when levels are good, your cells crank out energy like Tesla batteries. When they're low, you feel it, dragging through the day, relying on coffee just to function. Boosting NAD means fueling those little power plants, so fatigue takes a backseat. But it's not just about powering your body. Your brain loves NAD too. It keeps neurons firing cleanly, which translates into sharper focus, better memory, and possibly even some protection against neurodegenerative changes. That's why biohackers and executives swear it helps them think clearer, sharper, and faster. And then there's the anti-aging buzz. Every single day, your DNA gets scratched up by stress, toxins, and just modern life. NAD flips on repair enzymes that patch up those breaks and calm oxidative stress. It's working at a microscopic level to keep your cells younger, longer. And athletes, they're using it for recovery. Intense training beats up your muscles and floods your body with inflammation. NAD steps in to support repair, so bounce back time gets shorter and performance stays high. Even mood and sleep get a boost here. NAD interacts with your circadian rhythm, your internal clock, and neurotransmitters that keep you balanced. Ever notice when your sleep is off, everything else spirals? NAD helps keep those rhythms steady. So yes, it's more than a celebrity IV drip. It's energy, focus, recovery, and maybe even anti-aging all rolled into one molecule your body already runs on. And before you rush off to book a $500 IV drip, we need to talk about the risks. But before we dive in, did you know 80% of your immune system lives in your gut lining? Yeah, not in your multivitamin, not in your green juice. It's in a barrier that modern life is breaking down every single day. Here's the thing, you can stack peptides, NAD, and all the biohacks you want, but if your body's first line of defense is weak, you're still fighting uphill. And that defense is your internal barriers. Modern life, pollution, chemicals, processed food, stress, it all chips away at the mucosal lining that protects your gut, lungs, and sinuses. This barrier is like your inside armor, and it houses, again, nearly 80% of your immune system. When it breaks down, harmful particles slip through, and that's when you can feel inflamed, foggy, drained, or just off. And that's why I'm super excited to have this video sponsored by ARMRA Colostrum. ARMRA is physician-founded and uses over 400 bioactive nutrients from colostrum, nature's original superfood, to restore and strengthen those defenses at the foundation. It helps to support your gut lining, boost immune resilience, and even back up your metabolism and recovery. So in other words, it's giving your body the blueprint to perform and repair the way it was designed to. And unlike other brands, ARMRA's cold chain biopotent process keeps those nutrients active and potent. So what you're getting is the real deal, not just another buzzword on a label. So scroll down, click the link in the description, and you'll get 20% off your first order of ARMRA Colostrum. Use the code FUTUREOFHEALTH. It's the easiest way to start strengthening your foundation and feeling the difference from the inside out. And back to NAD. Sounds like a miracle molecule, right? Energy, brain power, anti-aging. But let's slow down for a second. There are a few things you need to know before you run off and book that pricey IV drip. Here's the deal. NAD is generally considered safe, but it's not FDA approved for anti-aging or general wellness. So right now we're in that gray wellness zone. Clinics can offer it, but regulators aren't exactly handing it a gold star of approval. Side effects? They do exist, but they're usually tied to how fast you're getting the IV infusion and how long you're hooked up for. Back when I worked in the IV clinic, I not only administered NAD drips, but I got them myself. And trust me, I've seen it all. It's super common during an infusion to feel like your limbs are super heavy or to experience flushing, nausea, headaches, an upset stomach, or even nasal congestion. Some people feel a tightness in their chest if the NAD is pushed too fast. So the speed of the IV infusion matters. The slower the drip, the smoother the ride. But you also don't want to go at a snail pace and be hooked up for hours on end. The faster? Well, that's when it gets intense. And yes, I've seen guys turn it into an ego contest over who can finish their drip the quickest. Spoiler, that's not the flex you think it is. This isn't a Red Bull shot. It needs to be administered carefully. Now, if you're getting NAD as an intramuscular or subcutaneous injection, then the dose is much smaller. Side effects are usually mild, maybe some light nausea or a headache for 5 to 15 minutes or some flushing, and then you're good to roll. But here's the important part. Some people should definitely hit pause. Pregnant or nursing? Hard no. Active cancer or even a history of cancer? Also a no, because NAD fuels cell growth and you don't want to feed the wrong cells. And if you've got major health issues, especially autoimmune conditions or a chronic disease, that's a conversation you need to have with your doctor and not a decision you make because you saw a celebrity hooked up to a drip on Instagram. So yes, for many people, NAD looks safe, but like any therapy, it's not a one-size-fits-all approach, which raises the million-dollar question. If the benefits are hyped, but the risks are real, how well studied is this stuff really? That's where the science gets interesting. All right, so let's cut through the hype for just a second. If NAD is being sold as the fountain of youth, how much do we actually know about it for this purpose? Well, it's more than your average supplement fad, but not nearly enough to call it settled science. And here's the viral truth. Most of what we know comes from animal studies. Mice, given NAD precursors, lived longer, had sharper brains, and even stayed more active in their senior years. Cool, right? But here's the catch. You're not a mouse, and what happens in a lab doesn't always translate perfectly to humans. In humans, the research is still very promising, but still young. We've got small studies showing improvement in blood sugar regulation, cholesterol, and markers of aging. Some trials suggest benefits for brain health, fatigue, and recovery, but these are often limited in size and short term. The early signs look good, but we don't have decades of ironclad clinical data yet. And here's the part most clinics won't tell you. Because it's not FDA approved for anti-aging, NAD is kind of in this experimental limbo. And that doesn't mean it's unsafe, it just means the wellness industry has gotten way ahead of the science, building billion-dollar businesses on studies that are still in their early chapters. Now, don't get me wrong, this is often how breakthroughs often start. Remember when probiotics were considered fringe, or when acupuncture was just laughed at by Western medicine? Both are now mainstream. NAD might be on that same path, but right now we're still piecing together the puzzle, which brings us to the real tea. If the research is still catching up, why are celebrities, athletes, and wellness junkies pouring thousands into NAD drips like it's liquid gold? That story says just as much about culture as it does about science. Let's talk about the cultural glow-up of NAD. When you've got Hailey Bieber dripping it for beauty, Joe Rogan swearing by it for energy, and Silicon Valley CEOs sneaking it into their performance stacks, you know it's officially trending. Celebrities are paying thousands to sit in Beverly Hills lounges for NAD drips marketed as the ultimate reset button. They call it everything from jet lag cure to the fountain of youth in a bag. And honestly, that's part of what made it explode. NAD didn't start out as a boring supplement, it got branded as this elite, exclusive therapy that only the rich and famous could access. Athletes jumped on board too. Marathoners, fighters, even pro football players have used NAD for recovery, swearing it helps their muscles bounce back faster and keeps inflammation at bay. And once athletes endorse something, the wellness industry runs with it. Suddenly, NAD wasn't just a therapy, it was a lifestyle flex. Now here's the wild part, clinics aren't shy about leaning into that hype. Wellness centers across the country market NAD as a cure-all for energy, aging, sleep, focus, you name it, and they're kind of right. It's pitched as the reset button for your entire body. And people line up because they want what the celebs have, whether that's more stamina, glowing skin, or that elusive feeling of being young forever. But here's the catch. How you actually take NAD matters. Pills, injections, IV drips, even patches, not all forms are created equal, and some barely make it past your digestive system. And that's where the story gets really interesting. The plot thickens. You can't just pop a pill and expect the same results as a celebrity IV drip. How you get it into your body makes a huge difference in how much your body actually absorbs. Let's start with oral supplements. Straight NAD in a capsule? Honestly, not great. Your digestive system breaks most of it down before it even gets into your cells. That's why a lot of people use precursors for NAD, like NMN or NR. These are like the building blocks your body can convert into NAD more efficiently. Then we've got injections, intramuscular or subcutaneous shots bypass digestion and go straight into circulation. Those doses are smaller than IVs, so side effects are usually mild, but with consistency, you can get a noticeable boost. Now IV drips. This is the big daddy of NAD delivery. With an IV, you're bypassing the gut completely and giving your cells direct access. That's why celebs, athletes, and wellness clinics love it. The downside? It's pricey. It takes hours, and the intensity of the infusion can be uncomfortable if it runs too fast. Remember, slow drip, smooth ride. But just because you're dripping NAD straight into your vein doesn't mean your body absorbs every drop. Research shows that while IVs deliver higher levels than any other method, your cells still have a saturation point. In other words, past a certain level, your body can't really use it all. It just clears out. That's part of why dosing and infusion speed matters so much. And finally, patches and sublingual forms. These are still pretty new, and the research is mixed. Some people say they feel a difference and others don't. It's not as proven as IVs or injections, but hey, it's less invasive. So the bottom line, oral precursors are convenient and affordable, but not nearly as impactful. Injections are efficient and well tolerated, and IVs are the gold standard, but cost a fortune. And patches, well, they're still finding their place. So what's the smart move? Instead of chasing IV drips, let's talk about how to optimize NAD with both supplements and lifestyle. hacks that cost way less than a Beverly Hills clinic. NAD doesn't work alone, it has besties. And if you want to get the most out of your NAD levels, you've got to know who they are. Let's start with the supplement crew. Precursors like NMN or NR are basically the building blocks your body uses to make more NAD. Think of them like the raw ingredients. Give your body the right stuff and it can whip up more NAD on its own. Then you've got cofactors like B vitamins, especially B3 and B12 and magnesium. Without these, the whole NAD pathway kind of sputters. Add them in and things run way smoother. But here's my favorite part. You don't need to buy a single thing to boost your NAD. Your lifestyle can do a lot of the heavy lifting. Sleep, good, consistent, restorative sleep, is like rocket fuel for NAD production. And exercise, total game changer. When you work out, your body naturally kicks up NAD as part of the repair and energy cycle. So movement really is medicine. Then there are the extra credit players, things like resveratrol, yep, the compound in red wine that gets way too much hype, and quercetin, a plant compound found in apples and onions. They don't create NAD directly, but they support the same pathway. It's kind of like wingmen for your cells. So whether you're stacking in supplements, dialing in your lifestyle, or both, the point is NAD doesn't act in a vacuum. It's part of a bigger network that responds to how you live, move, and what you put in your body. And the best part? Sleep, fasting, exercise, they're all free. No heavy price tag required. But speaking of price tags, let's be real. How much is this all going to cost you? Because when it comes to NAD, cost can be a bigger barrier than the science. And let's be honest, your wallet might age faster than your cells with some of these treatments. IV drips can run anywhere from $300 to over $1,000 pop. Injections are cheaper, but if you're doing them regularly, it still adds up fast. Even supplements like NMN or NR can cost $40 to $150 a month, depending on the brand. So what's the smart play if you're curious, but not rolling in celebrity money? Let's keep it real. For beginners, starting with precursors like NMN, paired with lifestyle habits, again, think sleep, fasting, and movement, that can go a long way. If you're an athlete or a hardcore biohacker chasing performance, then injections or an occasional IV might make sense as a boost. And for most everyday people, consistency matters more than flashy treatments. Sticking with affordable supplements and free lifestyle hacks will likely get you further than the occasional $500 drip. But if someone handed you a free session, which would you pick? The pill, the patch, or the drip? Tell me in the comments because I'm dying to know what you'd try first. Which brings me to the real takeaway. Is NAD truly the fountain of youth, or just a piece of a bigger picture of health? So here's the bottom line. NAD isn't magic in a bag, and it's not the ultimate fountain of youth. What it is fuel. It's the power cable that keeps your cellular batteries running, repairing, and thriving. Boosting NAD can give you more energy, clearer focus, and better recovery, and maybe even help you age a little bit more gracefully. But only if it's paired with the basics. Lifestyle, sleep, movement, real food, healthy habits. Because let's be honest, no IV drip can fix burnout, bad habits, or a Netflix till 2 a.m. sleep schedule. NAD works best when you do. And if you're looking for simple lifestyle strategies to naturally boost your NAD levels, check out my book, The Ultimate Health and Wellness Guide. Link is in the bio. So what do you think? Is NAD the next big frontier of health and longevity, or just another shiny wellness fad? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to know if you would actually try it. And hey, if this video gave you that light bulb moment, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who's chasing energy, focus, or longevity. We've got more science with sass coming your way, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next.